So you're looking to buy a house in Dallas, values are going through the roof, you're about to get under contract, but you're concerned and you want to know, how does the appraisal process, how does it really all work, and do I have a say-so in it? If that's for you, stay tuned. Hey, what's up everybody? Brian McCauley here, your mortgage expert. So listen, buying or even refinancing a house can be a scary thing, but on the purchase side right now, Dallas has a huge inventory shortage, so prices are going through the roof. It's hard to figure out where values are going to stop at, where they're gonna land, where they're gonna slow down. Sometimes month to month, they're going up 5 or 10% because there's just so many people in Dallas and there's not enough property that the demand is just going up and up and up. So the challenge here is there's a lot of buyers out there that wanna buy houses, but they're like, hey, is this house really worth that? Now, if you're getting a home loan, I wanna talk a little bit today around the appraisal process. It's a big one, and I want you to understand how it actually works, how much control we all have, and what the end result looks like. If you're out there and you buy a house for $500,000, what happens is you come back to the lender, we will go through some numbers, some disclosures, some legal compliance stuff with you. And then at that point, when we start to move forward, we as the lender submit an appraisal request to an appraiser. So I want to unpack a few things around this. Number one, every mortgage company, between the mortgage company and the appraiser, has a middle third party that is in charge of all of the ordering system. So the lender can never talk to the appraiser can never talk to the lender. They don't want us tampering with anything or steering anybody or getting in the way of the end result, so we never get to chat with them. Now, this middle company is a licensed approved company. They're government regulated. It doesn't go out randomly just into space. The appraisers that are on our panel, on our board, are certified, have gone through ridiculous licensing. It usually costs anywhere from $500 to $900, depending upon the property. So if you've got an 8,000 square foot property, it's more expensive and it takes more time than a 2,000 square foot property. So all these things are taken into consideration when an appraiser is accepting an order, the turn time, the due date, the cost, all of that stuff. So what happens when we send these orders to appraisals, they get two things. We send a request into the appraiser, and then in conjunction with that, we attach the purchase contract. So the appraiser gets a request from the lender with a copy of the purchase contract, because they need to know and are required to know the owner, the buyer, the property address, how much they're buying it for, all the details about the property. Appraisals usually get assigned based on proximity and area of where the appraiser is. So you don't want somebody in theory in Dallas, right, who lives in Dallas, works in Dallas, to get an appraisal 30 miles north. They're not gonna be as familiar with that area as somebody that lives there or works there. He or she will probably call the realtors, which they'll know way before us, and call and say, hey, this is Bob or this is Stacy Appraiser. I am doing the appraisal for 123 Main Street. I need to come out to the house and set an appointment, take pictures, and do my thing. They will do an interior and an exterior walk and photos of the property, come back, they'll pull comparable sales in the area. They put together about a 40-page report, and then they send it back to that middle company. The middle company double checks it to make sure it's compliant, and then the middle company gives it back to us, the lender, and says, hey, here's your report. We open it up, and then we start to look. Okay, here's the full report. What did the appraisal value come in at? And then we deliver that report to the buyer. Most of the time, the realtor and the appraiser are using very similar data. It's normally public record. The system is designed and set up to say all parties pretty much need to pull for the same data. Sometimes the realtor will go 0.3 miles out and the appraiser will go 0.2 miles out. And in between that 0.2 and 0.3, there's another comp over here that helps with the value. So when these types of things happen and we don't agree with the value, or the buyer doesn't agree with the value, or the agent doesn't agree with the value, we do what's called a reconsideration of value, which is, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Appraiser, your value came in low. We don't think it's accurate. We want to give you a little bit of data and have you reconsider it. So we say, you missed the upgrades. What about the comp over here? This square footage isn't right. So there is an option to where if the value itself doesn't come back where everyone agrees, we can push back and provide additional data and have the appraiser do a reconsideration of value. Sometimes they agree and they come up, sometimes they actually don't. Realtors do a lot of stuff per square foot. Appraisers use per square foot as a variable, but it's not everything, right? So sometimes things as simple as, crossing over a main highway, even though it's close in proximity, changing school zones, all these things matter. And so you have to take that stuff into consideration when doing an appraisal. So what about the third option? No one agrees. The appraiser stands on their own 2 feet. Once everybody's gone back and forth, what happens is really it comes back to me and we run it up the ladder and up the chain of what's called a chief appraiser. Now the chief appraiser is the final authority that says, I'm gonna review everybody's work at this point. They look at all the information, the before, the after, the data, all the details, and come up with a decision. Sometimes they'll come back and say, you know what? This appraiser is right. I'm gonna stand with them. The value stands as is. That's the way that it is. People end up going to the finish line, having to pay extra money here and there. Sometimes the chief appraiser will say, I don't agree with this appraiser. I agree a little bit more with the agent. So what they will do is they will disregard and throw away the first appraisal, and they will order a second appraisal and say, hey, I don't think this is a fair shake of the value, so we're basically gonna flush this one down the toilet, and we're gonna order a second one, and we're gonna get somebody else that's a little bit more experienced with a little bit more understanding of the area to give us a second opinion. They will make sure that somebody else in that area gets that report back, and then when that report comes back, whatever that report comes back at, that's the value and it sticks. So these are how appraisals work. It's not too complex of a process. There's just a lot of red tape. All of this stuff is important. Make sure you learn this and understand this and know this. Talk to your agents, talk to me if you're looking at buying a home and you have questions about the appraisal process. Listen, if this was a helpful video for you regarding appraisals, do me a favor, like it, comment, subscribe. I promise to get back to any questions or comments that you have. But more importantly, just know that I'm here to help you through this entire process. And if you want to set up a consultation and talk specifically about your situation and need some help, do me a favor, call us, email us, text us. We're always here. Until next time, stay tuned.